Hello and welcome to this edition of 101 with Montgomery County Executive Marc Elrich. I'm Lorna Virgili and thank you for joining us. Hello, Mr. Elrich, how are you?
Just lovely.
Gotta love that smile. Let's talk about the first 90 days in office. It's getting close to hitting that 90-day mark, first 3 months as the county executive. How have you been adjusted? Any accomplishments? Tell us what it's been like.
It's sort of like drinking from a fire hose. You know, there's an unending stream of information. I had somebody ask me about how hard it was to get a meeting, and I said, I literally go from one meeting to another meeting to another meeting. So right now it's been really hard to fit things in. So my day gets extended, my weekends get used. But there's just a lot of people who want to talk, and there's just a lot of people to get to know and work with up here, because this is, all new to us. We have a new team, and we have to understand what was and how things operate, and then we have to, think about how we want to do things.
Well, but it is a compliment when a lot of members of the community do want to meet with a new county executive, and you have had an open door policy which your office has been granting meetings to pretty much everybody has requested to meet with you.
Pretty much.
So in the midst of all of that and meeting with members of our community, you held 5 operating budget forums for fiscal year 2020 throughout the county. You've been to these forums in the past, obviously. You're very familiar with what it takes to put together an operating budget. But from the perspective of the county executive, listening to county residents, I'm sure you heard their voices differently this time around.
Yeah, because I think, when I would go to Ike's meetings as a council member, the expectation is, A, you listen, and sometimes you join in the discussion, but you're not the decision maker, really. And the big difference is when people are talking to you, you understand that your role is you have to factor all this into decisions you're going to make. So you own the information that comes in, and you own the decisions you make at the end of the day. And it's very different being the decision maker as opposed to being a legislator. Different job.
What were your takeaways from those budget hearings, forums? In the fact that they were held throughout the county, across the board, and there were very different requests from county residents.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I mean, there's a lot of similarity. I mean, people generally, I'd say, have a commitment to social programs. So people really want the county to continue doing things that we'd consider compassionate and caring. And people put a high priority in schools. There's a lot of concern about traffic and congestion. Sometimes the discussions get localized, but I think there's just a generic concern about levels of congestion here. So there's things that are universal, and then there are things that are really specific. The issues in one part of the community that really are different than issues in another part of the community. So it was kind of like my listening sessions. I did 8 of those, and there was a lot of commonality, and then there were local differences.
With the difference that a budget needs to be put together.
Yes.
We started with a deficit of what, $105 million? It's a little bit more?
I mean, at one point it was around 182.
Okay. All right.
And this is inherited. I mean, this is not, these are the numbers that we start with by assuming basically same services budget adjustments for known changes that we knew were coming, like interest payments and things like that. And so that's on the revenue side, and then on the expense side, it's known operating costs of departments with a few other enhancements that people asked for, but nothing dramatic. So that difference was kind of startling.
So overall, I mean, you're obviously still working on the budget, and one of the things that your administration has done is you've been having dialogue, conversations with members of county council, and how is that helping in preparation for this budget?
I think it's helpful. I mean, I feel like I'm trying to be realistic with people, and so my conversations are, these are the numbers. it really is constraining, because I want everybody to understand that, you know, the constraints we're going to have are real. We're committed to making sure that that everybody understands are working on the same set of numbers, and that there aren't any surprises for people. So if we're telling folks what we think the revenues are going to be or what we're getting for the state, we're trying to hit really close to the mark. When I made some, you know, capital budget decisions, I made them based on what I was pretty sure of. There are some things that could happen that could let us improve what we put in the budget, but we didn't want to put things in the budget that we didn't have certainty of being able to support. And I think, you know, for council members who've not done this before, they wouldn't have the experience of having gone through, you know, this happened with Ike, where, you know, you start with more needs than you have money. So people haven't been confronted with that gap and how you bring these two things to meet in the middle. So I'm just trying to make sure everybody has a realistic sense of what we can do and can't do.
You said some things could happen. For the benefit of the viewers,
Right.
what things could happen that could impact the FY 2020 operating budget?
So there's a lot of discussion about Kerwin, for example, and there's going to be some money on the table, but at the early stages and even up till now, we don't know whether the money is going to come in the form of capital for school construction or if it's going to come in the form of operating, or a mix between the two. So when we did our capital budget, we funded the school's 6-year CIP as it had been, but we weren't able to put in more money than we had already anticipated to put in for this year. They had requested some additional funds, and we weren't able to put it in because we were staying within the budget they had proposed and the council had passed last year. Now, if the state has more capital money for schools, then we'll be able to do something about that. And so we're waiting to see what comes out of the state budget, and what comes out will then let us make some adjustments, hopefully good adjustments.
Okay, we got to take a short break.
Sure.
Mr. Elrich, we're going to be right back. Please do stay tuned.
The next 30 seconds can save you a lot of money. Just do your laundry in cold and stick to full loads. Auto-sleep your computers. Plug your gadgets in a power strip and switch it off when you're done. Headed out? Turn back your thermostat by 10 degrees. And drive sensibly. The more energy you save, the more money you save. Find other great tips at energysaver.gov.
County residents are required by law to clear sidewalks in front of and alongside their properties within 24 hours of the end of a snowstorm. Working together, Montgomery County can stay safe and warm this winter. Good neighbors clear their sidewalks of ice and snow. For more information, call 311 or go to montgomerycountymd.gov/safe sidewalks.
If you think someone might be considering suicide or drugs, be the one to help them by taking these 5 steps. Ask, keep them safe, be there, help them connect, follow up. If you're struggling, call Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK or the 24-hour crisis center at 240-777-4000. Be the one to help. Learn more at betheone.org.
I love taking care of my mom. It wasn't easy at first. She learned how to better communicate her needs.
And you learned how to not ignore yours.
I discovered how to make healthier meals.
And I discovered how much I enjoyed them.
Becoming a caregiver is a learning experience for everyone. Find articles, tips, and tools from experts and others who have been in your place. The Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving.
Welcome back to 101 with Montgomery County Executive Marc Elrich. I'm Lorna Virgili. Thank you for continuing to watch. So, Mr. Elrich, we were talking about the budget. Outcome budgeting, is that going to be in place, or is that something for the next cycle?
So that's something for the next cycle. The restructuring and outcomes-based budgeting, we come in December there's not any time to analyze departments. I mean, we're just even putting our own people in place right now. So we haven't had time to look at how departments are structured, look at what their objectives are, how they measure things, and we're kind of, we have 2 months, 3 months to throw this on the table. So this is very much based on the world as we knew it. And then once we send the budget over to the council, then we're going to begin working on the lean business improvements and seeing what opportunities we have within departments to find savings. We're going to be looking at how we attach outcome measures to the things we do. We want to be sure that we no longer fund things, in a following year because we funded them in a previous year. We want to get to the point that we know we're funding things that work and things that don't work. We move resources away from those things and put them into things that are working. And I tried to explain to people there's a lot of well-meaning programs out there, but not everything's effective. And on the other hand, there are some programs that are very effective, and everybody could use more resources. And so to the extent that we have money and things that aren't being effective in terms of achieving objectives, that deprives other programs of money that would be used better. So that's how we're trying to look at rebalancing things.
Restructuring, it's a fine word. It can be
Yeah.
promising, but it can be very scary as well. So now that you've been here for almost 90 days and you've been going back and forth with the department directors are in place and so forth, what has been precisely that feedback as far as focusing on results, budgets for results?
Well, we only have a few new people in, and they're only in for less than a month. So everybody is getting, their kind of feet on the ground and getting to know the people in their departments. So to the extent we made new hires with the understanding that part of what we want from somebody is the ability to analyze what's being done in the departments they're going to manage and think about how to do the job differently. I mean, we have pretty much told everyone that the expectation isn't just to come in here, take over the machine like you were swapping the driver on a metro train, but basically to say, is this train running the way you want it running? Is it configured the way you want it configured? And that's part of the job, is to help rethink whether we're delivering things in the most effective way. And that's going to take time. I mean, I'm patient. It took a lot of time to build the things that we built here, and I'm pretty cognizant that things were built with good intentions, but I don't think the analysis was always there, or the follow-up was always there to be sure that what we intended we were getting.
Your vision of effectiveness, what is that?
It means
knowing
that,
now what you know today.
So it's if your intention, for example, is to run a program that improves outcomes for students in school, then I want to see improved outcomes. I don't want to just say, well, we're spending this X amount of money and we've adjusted it for inflation and population growth, and so we're going to spend X plus whatever next year. And that's a good thing in and of itself. I want to be sure that if the outcome is an expected improvement in student performance, if students are in school more often, if those are the objectives, I want to be sure that we're achieving the objectives. If I have environmental programs and we're trying to achieve a certain amount of, say, restored area to environmentally, in environmentally good condition, I want to know that we've been able to restore the area that we've said, and that we were able to restore it at a price that was effective. I want to be able to look, how did we do it in one place? How did we do it in another place? What are the differences? Why are there differences? I think what I've been telling people is we want to be more reflective about what we do and how we do it, and really question, is it being done in the most effective way? Not assume that if you did what was done last year that means you're doing things effectively, because you may not be.
Let's talk about department leadership.
Yeah.
You still have a few departments that they don't have a director in place. What is the status of that transitioning new people into some departments in the county?
Well, we still have searches ongoing. You know, we were committed to basically, to the extent we needed to make, you know,
Do you have a goal to have them all filled by the end of the year, or something similar?
I'd like to have everything filled within a month.
Okay.
Is my goal. We're going to be bringing forward a few more people next week and the week after, and interviews for some of the big positions that are still outstanding will be starting pretty soon. So I anticipate that this will all get done. But we really, you know, we weren't looking. Look, it'd be easy to find people like me. I could have staffed the government with people that look like me in 24 hours. Our goal is to make sure that everybody doesn't look like me, and that, you know, we have.
So is that diversity, or?
It's a diverse pool of applicants, and that we, you know, try to attract, you know, some of the best talent that we can to come here. I'm pretty happy with the applicants we've been able to get, and I'm really excited about some of the people who are coming in. I'm excited about all the people who are coming in, but I think, you know, we really are going to bring in people who have some of the skill sets that we really wanted. You know, we were looking for folks in some cases who have managed multiple departments, who have experience in a wide range of things, not just one thing. We're looking at, you know, some of the objectives we have. They're no longer just department objectives, but they're multidisciplinary. So we wanted to be sure that we had people who had experiences that would lend themselves to being able to work across a couple of different departments, not just be a specialist in one thing.
The police chief, he just
Yes.
announced that he will be retiring in April. That is a big post to fill. What would you be looking for? And is this going to be obviously a national search?
It's going to be a broad search, yes, and I'm looking for, you know, I like Tom as chief. We worked together really well. I was, you know, on the public safety committee, you know, all those years I was on the council, and I thought a lot about the work the department did, and I think he was very forthright, and, you know, he's considered by national standards a very progressive chief, and you know, when we talk about body cameras, for example, they were already working on it. You know, they knew that this is where the world was going, and they were going there. And so it was good to have somebody who didn't have to be dragged into the 21st century, but who actually understood this is the 21st century and this is the evolution of policing. I also understand, you know, why, you know, he'd want a retirement. The job offer he has is going to be a lot less stressful. I think being a policeman and being a police chief in this day and age is really hard. You know, the degree of, you know, public scrutiny that they're under is unprecedented in history, and it's a good thing, but it's a real culture change. And I think that, you know, unfortunately, that the actions of some people in some departments then become laid on everybody, and that's a heavy burden to bear. I don't like it when.
So has that search started? Yes or
we
no?
We are in the beginning stages of it, yes.
All right. Mr. Elrich, we're going to take a
Yeah.
short break. We'll be right back. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Body language can tell you all sorts of things. Like someone is having a stroke. Know the sudden signs. Learn fast. Face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty. Time to call 911 and get them to a hospital immediately. Learn the body language and spot a stroke fast.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
Did you know there are more than 10,000 county government phone numbers? But there's only one number you need to remember for non-emergency calls, 311. MC 311 is Montgomery County government's online telephone information system. Need information? Have a problem or complaint? Trying to locate a county government facility? Call 311. The call center is open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. The website is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Welcome back to 101 with Montgomery County Executive Marc Elrich. I'm Lorna Virgili. Mr. Elrich, do you want to add something about the police search?
So the search is going to be...
Search for the new chief.
We're not searching for police. So the search for Tom Major's replacement is going to be a public process. And we're going to be sure the community is engaged, because this is important, not just as having the right manager, but at this time, it is vitally important that the community have confidence in who sits in a police chief's spot. And so we're going to make sure that when we do this process, that we have community involvement, so that at the end of the day, when we make a selection, we're going to start, hopefully, with positive goodwill from the community and a shared set of hopes that the next chief is going to reflect the best of Montgomery County.
Okay. Let's talk about the small business navigators and the programs.
Yeah.
There will be a pilot program established up county in the Regional Services Center to kind of like spearhead your initiative to connect the small business community with county resources, et cetera, to kind of nurture that entrepreneurial sector in the county, the smaller business community. Your approach for this, and how different is it going to be from the incubator system that was part of the past here in the county for small businesses?
I have to laugh. So what's going to be different? Well, when the Economic Development Corporation got created, we kind of dismantled the county's economic development division, and we're putting back an economic development division. We're putting people in the regional service centers, starting with this pilot in the Up County, because we want people on the ground with economic expertise who can work with small businesses and work with the small shopping center owners. The big problem in Montgomery County, when you look around, are the empty spaces in centers, the freestanding buildings that are vacant, and office buildings that have signs for however many thousand square feet for lease. And we need to refill them with small businesses. These aren't spaces for giant corporations. They're spaces that used to be filled by small businesses, and they're not there now. And so our goal is, A, to encourage and nurture them. We want to make sure we can start providing supports to people who want to start small businesses. I'm very interested in incubators, and our incubator program, the Economic Development Corporation did a report. They helped 52 companies, 48 of them were in biotech. It is great to have that presence in biotech, and I fully understand it, but the needs of the county and the kind of jobs that need to be created are broader than that. And they weren't set up to do local small businesses. They were really set up to operate in this other sphere. So we want to make sure that we are starting to help people, who have ideas, figure out how do you turn them into products? How do you turn these things into businesses? If you are ready to launch a business, make sure that you understand what you need, including how to do marketing. So we want to provide an environment and that a person who wants to start a business feels they're going to get supported here. And we're also going to aggressively go out and talk to people. I mean, when I've been going around to these events, I get approached by business people all the time. And I feel that there's a real interest in either growing things here or bringing things here that maybe somebody has operating someplace else. And I want to make sure that they feel like that they're welcome here. I mean, the most common thing I've heard is people talking about how they got courted by other jurisdictions to come there. And it wasn't like people threw a ton of money at them. They were just courted and made to feel like, you know, we really want you here, you know, we'll be supportive of you. And people said, we haven't seen Montgomery County at a lot of these things. And I realized after having gone to a few events that there wasn't anybody from economic development there other than me. And we need to figure out how to put a foot forward, make our presence known, let people know that we're really interested. Because I think that if we show interest and if we have programs that are supportive, we'll be able to recapture some of this. So that's the direction I want to go.
One of the existing challenges, again, from the past has been access to capital for small businesses and also contracts with county government, basically,
right,
especially for minority-owned businesses. Is that also going to be addressed as part of this package of elevating, cultivating, and hopefully having the small businesses rent space in the county?
So the answer, in short, is yes. I mean, I think that you know, the county had a report on the small business environment, particularly minority, as it relates to minority businesses, and not a lot came out of the report. At least people who are in the small business world don't feel that a lot actually got implemented. So our goal is to actually implement, you know, more of the recommendations. You know, there's a process of bundling, and bundling is where you take a bunch of contracts, put them together, put them out for bid, and you know, that makes it easier perhaps on a department, but it means that a lot of small businesses can't bid because they could handle, say, cleaning one garage or cleaning 2 garages, but they can't handle cleaning 30 garages, and so they don't bid. And so we're going to look at opportunities to unbundle contracts, to, I believe in giving preferences to local small businesses. You know, I think it is actually worth it to pay a local small business a little bit more, not have to be at a low bidder, because if a company's in Montgomery County and they get a contract, all their employee income is going to stay here. They're paying property taxes, paying income taxes here, they're paying rent here. We get enormous benefit from that. If I contract with companies from Virginia and Pennsylvania, I write them a check and the money goes away. So if you think about the multiplier effect of locally spending money, you can't reduce it just to the price of the contract. You have to look at the total value to the county.
Thank you, Mr. Elrich. Unfortunately, we run out of time. There were so many other items I wanted to touch bases, like you going to Annapolis this many times during the session.
Many times.
And so forth. But we got to wrap it up today. For more information, do visit the county's website, montgomerycountymd.gov. I'm Lorna Virgili. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Elrich. Thank you.
In Montgomery County, we have a goal to reduce waste and recycle 70% of all waste by 2020. By recycling and reducing waste, we save natural resources and make our community even better. So recycle at home, work, school, everywhere, and keep recycling going. For more information, call the Montgomery County, Maryland Division of Solid Waste Services at 311 or visit montgomerycountymd.gov/recycling.
Keep it going.
Recycle more now.
I think someone at my friend's school has this thing called autism. My friend's brother's son has autism. My neighbor's son has autism. My son has autism.
Autism is getting closer to home. Today, 1 in 88 children is diagnosed with autism. That's a 1,000% increase in the last 40 years. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.